on this computer. All right, here we go. I'm with Jacob Wiley. And funny enough, I am actually in the gym that I trained Jacob Wiley. So a little backstory before we get into this testimonial is Jacob is no longer a client because he has accomplished what I wish to achieve for all of my clients. Not only has he graduated from being a client with me, but he has become a trainer. So no longer do I have to train him because he is now surpassed me and he is now a trainer. But so anyways, we'll get going with these questions. So I just have 3 questions for you. I can put them in the chat just so you can see them. It's where were you before you started training with me? Where you are now, and then how did Calvin help you during the training?
Okay. Where was I? I think I started a couple weeks, maybe a month after having my second knee surgery on the right side. Yeah, first I had my first knee surgery when I was, I guess, 17. Never fully recovered from it. And that and back problems just led to me being like super overweight. Thankfully, by the time I started working with Calvin, I had dropped some weight, but I was still pretty heavy. Had the knee pain, of course, had to go through this whole second surgery. All I remembered in my head was like, I remember how small my leg got that first time. And I'm like, I do not want that to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And I had heard that he had gone through kind of similar stuff with his knee and had worked through it and helped other people work through it. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a try. So that's kind of where I was at, where it's out of shape, kind of down on it, because nobody likes getting hurt. And I had already had it happen once. So yeah, that's kind of where it was at. Where I am now, I weigh a lot less. I've squatted more than I ever thought I could with how bad my back was before. Same thing with the knee. I mean, FYI, I tore the ACL like a year ago for the third time. And I came back and within a year and have squatted just like 70 more pounds than I've ever touched. So a lot of that was just Calvin taught me a lot of ways to go about recovering from injury in a smarter way. Because a lot of people try to do too much and then it hurts and then they're discouraged because they're like, it's just going to hurt forever. One of the things he helped me out with the most was just understanding that it is a process, right? I didn't get overweight overnight. And that injury, a lot of the time, there's a reason injuries happen. Sometimes it is a freak accident, but a lot of the time it's because you have some kind of weakness. So it helped me kind of understand not to rush the process of getting a muscle or getting a joint back to where you can do stuff with it. Not that you baby it, but not that you're searching to just go hard and ignore the pain, because that's not the way to go about it. The other way he helped me a lot was just, it was really motivating, right? To have somebody encourage you, and it kind of just reawoken competitiveness, because I'm like, man, I got this guy training me who weighs like 40 pounds less than me, lifting more than me. I can't let that.
No, not anymore.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you still put up some big numbers.
I ain't too bad. I can jump higher still.
Oh, for sure. Now, it'd be interesting to see if that would hold up if I drop down to your weight, because you're cruising around like what, 155 now?
No,
160?
I'm actually up there now. I'm 170 again.
Oh, okay. Because I
Yep,
would remember.
I've been taking creatine, so
Oh my dude, I could not touch that right now. It just
you go over 200.
I'm 195 right now.
Oh yeah, you go over
Like,
200. Shoot.
yeah, I'd hit like probably 210 within
Yeah.
a few weeks of taking that. Start looking like the Michelin man.
So there were two there were two highlights that I just wanted to like maybe revisit from our training. I think the first one is when we initially used that floss band when you came in for your assessment.
Yeah.
Like I remember you like walking around the gym almost like you're on like the moon or something. You're like, my knee has not felt like this. Like, and there's just, I think there's like those little sparks of hope,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're on that recovery journey that are just so huge So I think that was like one of the major ones that I always just remember. I was just like, dude, like your ecstatic face of when you're like,
Well,
wow,
yeah,
like
because
I can
it's like
actually
it
move my
felt
leg again.
different.
Yeah.
It felt different. It felt like I had my old leg back a little bit, you know. I could actually put force into it without just feeling that knee joint go to crap. So yeah,
Mm,
it was huge. Because if people know that they can make it happen without pain, they're way more likely to do it, right?
yep.
I had a guy who had double knee surgery that I worked out with, and he's just gotten so much range of motion back. It's insane. And he had no idea
Mm,
he could even do that, right? And then even recently, another person, knee surgery. And what got me super excited and had them kind of creeped out was their thigh was quivering. And I'm
mm.
like, ooh,
It's
it's
working. It's
time.
working.
Wakey, wakey. That muscle's it was
Yep.
sleeping, but we
Yeah.
back. You know, that feeling, like it just made me so excited to see that. And that was how I felt, was like, oh shoot, I can contract this muscle still. Right. Because before,
Mm,
every time I tried to uh, push or think of pushing with my leg, it would just defer to the joint. And I just feel that knee pain come up
mm,
because the quad had died and it had
mm,
never recovered. Right. And your body will find ways to do things even if it's not what it was, how it was meant to do so, right? You have
mm.
so many ways of regression that your body's going to use whatever it can to make the movement happen. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
I remember that one session that you came in here and like we had to regress the Poliquin step offs to like the cable, just to like just isolate you using that quad, just learn to use that quad again, you know?
we,
That was
we
just
did it.
crazy.
There was one, and I was getting really annoyed with that exercise because you had me literally just step on a mat in
Yeah.
there, like, you know, that
Yep.
little mat that's just like
Uh,
half an inch higher than the floor. You had
yep.
me doing it there. That was
Yep.
crazy. But it got
Yep.
the quad burn, and same thing with the sleds. It got the blood flowing, it got the contraction in the muscle going, and that's just huge.
Yep. That is huge.
I
And then
remember it was at the other gym, the new one, where I was doing sled and threw up like 5 times though. Do you remember that?
oh, I remember that. Sled flew. And then you got some new shoes, and that like kicked you into gear. I remember you came in that one time. You had those new shoes. I was like, oh, we pushing weight now. But I think one of the other things that really stuck out is like we would have a lot of like nutrition conversations,
Yeah.
um, and I think it's really cool just to like see how like both of us benefited from the sessions. Like I think that there's just so much value in our sessions, and so like there's like an appreciation on the other side. Like I always tell my clients this, I wish I could do testimonials for my clients, you know and so like Jacob was one of those people that would just constantly challenge the way that I thought, and just like you know do I really understand what I'm telling people about certain nutritional aspects, and like going to do my research and doing my due diligence. So I just thought that that was really beneficial and helpful. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was kind of your process of now like becoming from trainee to trainer. How has that been?
Dude, it's been a ton of fun. I remember kind of getting the first client and just being like, holy cow, do I know what to do with this person? So it's like,
Yep.
I know how to make someone work hard, but like, do I know how to help this person improve in a way that's gonna, reach their goals, whatever it may be? So I found like the most useful thing was spending a lot of time just letting them talk to me about, what
Mm,
it is that they really want and what have been their obstacles, because people don't tell you unless you ask sometimes. And
mm,
I'm like, do you want me to know about any injuries or anything that you've struggled with in the past when it comes to exercise, or uh, things that have kept you from the gym, anything like that? And man, dude, my consults last 2 hours on average. they're
mm.
supposed to be they're supposed to be an hour, and I'm like, every time that middle-aged lady walks in, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be here a long time.
Yep.
So that helps me get to know so much more about them and their just exercise histories, that I can really think, one, how hard can I push them? Right. If
Mm,
you go full throttle with some people, you'll never see them again.
mm.
Right. but you do eventually want to kind of create that enjoyment of the process where it's like, yeah, that's you getting stronger. Sure, it doesn't
Mm,
always feel amazing right away, but this happened during my sessions with you, and this happens with a lot of the people who leave after our session is done, where they're like, I feel a lot better. And it's like,
mm,
I just kicked your butt for an hour up and down the corner,
yep.
and your body feels better,
Mm,
right? Like, what's up with that? And it's, to me, it's just restoring motion the way it's supposed to be, right? Enabling the muscles to work the way they were intended.
mm.
So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's great. I think the other thing that was kind of interesting, that your mindset kind of changed, or like your belief changed, because sometimes when you have a coach, you just need someone telling you things that maybe you don't want to hear, that are like preconceived ideas that you believe for a long time. I think one of those things was like, I don't remember if it was ever like you didn't think that you could ever be at a certain body fat percentage, or like below 200. But I just remember you're like, I'm just meant to be, I'm not meant to be lean or whatever. And I think just like challenging that, and like both of us being like, well, is that like true? Or is it just like, do we just have to like, change the strategy, or what is it there? So I think that there's like aspects there where it's kind of cool to like try to like really zero in on your beliefs about yourself. And I think that, I mean, you got super lean. I
Yeah,
remember like
my
you came in
brother's
your freaking
wedding,
biceps and stuff. Yeah, that was crazy.
for my brother's wedding, I got down to like 169,
Phew,
and I was
jeepers, man.
extremely close to having abs at that point. So, no, for sure. Like, if you have an idea of what you want in your head and you never let that go, you can get there. And we had a talk on one of your uh, Zoom meetings where it was like you almost have to lie to yourself. And I said, no, just say thinking ahead. And that's how I like to
Mm,
look at it. It's like think ahead to where you want to be, not to where you're at,
mm,
right? Because I
yep.
I probably climbed up to 210 after that third ACL tear because I got down on myself again. But
Mm,
then I just had to look like, hey, think about where you want to be. I'm still not where I want to be quite. I mean, I've enjoyed getting a lot stronger this past year,
mm,
a whole lot stronger, but now it's time to dial it back in, get ready for that fire department test and everything. So, no, just if I were to have one word of advice for anybody trying to lose weight, it would be whatever you're doing has to make you feel better,
mm,
right? So many people try to lose weight and they feel bad as they're doing it. And that's just a losing battle because if it never
mm,
feels good, where's the reward for losing the weight? Now, a
right.
lot of the things that feel good are, hey, it's easier to do this, it's easier to run, I'm not as out of breath, whatever that may be.
Mm,
But physical well-being, having more energy is the harder part of weight loss because a lot of people, the leaner they get, especially if they're, making a battle of willpower, it's just never ending, right?
right.
So I focus just on getting as much nutrition as you can, improving the food quality, and then maybe looking at calories. But mostly, if you improve the nutrient content somebody's getting in and improve their food quality, a lot of things take care of themselves.
Yep.
Because a lot of the time you're so hungry is because you get no nutrition from a lot of the stuff that people eat, and your body
Yep.
still needs it. So it's still going to have you hungry. It's still going to try to
Mm,
get you to eat. So that's like the number one. Is like you got to get the nutrition, and then you have to at least enjoy it enough so it's not a battle of willpower, and you
mm,
should be better as you do it. Because a lot of people go into such a high caloric deficit that their body just shuts down and can no longer output energy, right? So it's kind of
yep.
what happened to the biggest loser.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. It has to
Rebound.
be it has to be a lifestyle. Like the first order of business is creating your identity around what you want to be, so that you can create that lifestyle. And the
Getting
only way
rid
to
of
create that,
the word diet.
exactly. Exactly. It is a very like psychological battle in helping people, because especially like the habits that they've developed, not only in their habits, that are actions, are just merely reflections of what's going on in their brain, like what they believe, right? So you have to really shape what they believe about themselves, what they believe about food, and a lot of it is just education, and then getting them to actually, understand where they're at, where they want to be, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what kind of helps them make that lifestyle. And that's the problem with like a lot of the diets is people are just told rules to follow and they don't really understand why they're following the rules. And then they just end up, like you said, not liking it, and they have no identity in what they're doing because they're lazy about it. A lot of times, like, diets are lazy. It's just like, hey, do this, follow this formula, and bada bing, bada boom. It's like it's not that simple. You have to educate yourself. You have to put in some work. And it always helps when you have a coach and someone that's helping you alongside. So I mean, that's so cool that you're doing that and helping people. I mean, it's one of the best jobs ever, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't care what I do for a full-time career, I'm always going to do this on the side.
Mm.
Or maybe it'll be cool full-time, who knows? But uh definitely just even the past couple of people, I have some new clients and they worked out for the first time and they both went low blood sugar on me because they didn't eat anything
Mm.
for the workout. So I had to
Mm.
take that time to really like introduce some good ideas of what to eat before a workout because they were both dizzy and nauseous, didn't know why, and people
Yep.
don't know. And so
I
that's one
literally
thing make somebody quit from working out is if it makes me feel like garbage and throwing up, who wants to do that?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of time to like put on the different set of laces and be their little mini nutritionist, I guess, because
Mm.
dude was drinking plenty of water, but he didn't have any food, didn't have any sodium, potassium, any of that. So he's cramping up and feeling sick. Now he
Yep.
knows. There's all tons of good stuff that you can benefit people outside of just lift this, put this up here, and do this and such. Helping them understand why they're doing it and why it works is huge because if they know that, then they can go on their own and fly, right? Unless they're like
Mm.
80, I don't want them training with me more than like a year,
Yeah.
They're 80,
Yeah.
they probably need the motivation at that point. So,
Mm.
but I actually had a dude, 80, maybe went 6 months. He told me
Mm.
I only want to do this about 6 months. He listened to the stuff I gave him, followed stuff, really listened to what I was telling him as far as why things work. And dude, I still see him 3 days a week, 10 a.m.
Mm.
every day. He's in there doing it. So
Yep.
that's my favorite things. Or doing a fitness consult, and I still give people like an idea of what I think would be beneficial based off of what I saw. I had another dude never trained with me, but he's in there 3 days a week, doing a
Mm.
lot of the stuff I showed him, doing a couple of new things every time. And I
Mm.
love to do that. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's super awesome. And what you said was like the goal for our clients is just like you said, take off and fly. And that's exactly what you've done. So just want to thank you for being on here. I'm going to stop the recording really quick, but yeah, where you are now is above and beyond anything that I could have ever wished for when you came in for that first assessment. So I'm freaking it every single time I see you, bro. I get freaking hyped.
Like them boulder shoulders coming out.
That's right. Every single time you're like, hey. I'm gonna
Getting
stop the
rid of
screen
that
recording.
upper cross syndrome every day.
Yeah, that's right. Posture. All
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Bada bing, bada boom.